Hey guys, I think this video is going to be a short one. What I want to do is I want to correct a couple things that I saw that I consider to be errors. Not necessarily that they are real errors, they're not really going to mess things up, but I wanted to address some things that I wanted differently. Okay? So, what I'm going to do, this probably will be 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes video. So in order to explain what I want to do, I'm going to do a preview. So I'm going to go into File, Real-Time Preview, Firefox. Okay, now when we look at the page, I think, to be honest, it's not an exciting page, but it's okay. I don't have any problems with it. I think it's interesting, and for the most part, I think we can get away with that, with what you see. There's a couple things that I don't like, though. I don't like this margin. If you look up here, you can see that there's this gap. What we're going to do is we're going to go into the body tag and tell it that we don't want a margin at all. The other thing that I want to make sure that I address is when I shrink this page, watch what happens to the text down here. Watch what happens to the text, and watch what happens to the image right here. The text starts to shrink, but the image doesn't. And what I want is I want that image to shrink along with the text, so that when we look at this, the full image size, the full the full width of the page, when it goes beyond that this image starts to shrink a little bit. And the reason why this is probably because I don't have it set to a percentage. I have it set to an actual size. So we're going to see if we can fix that. And then if there's time in this video, I'm going to save this page as other pages. We'll remove the content and then create separate pages. All right, so let's just get started. I think that this, like I said, is going to be a quick video. Okay, so let's start. First thing is let's get rid of this margin. I'm going to go into my CSS designer. I'm going to look for my selector that's called body. Now I'm not sure where it's at. There it is right there. And I'm going to go into margin and put 0. Let's make sure, let's go over to the base CSS. We see body right here. Margin is set to 0. And you notice that we really don't have a margin. So I'm going to go up into File. Let me save this first. File, save, and go into source code. We'll save that just to play it safe. And I'll go into File, Real-Time Preview, Firefox. Okay, so now when we look at the top, you notice that it goes all the way up to the top. Not a problem, right? This is what I wanted. Very simple fix, but it's the body tag. All right, so I'm going to close this. Next, we're going to try to fix this image so that it centers all the time. And my guess, and I'm not positive, but I think what the issue is that the image is set to a width, a specific width. And I think what we need to do is turn it into a percentage of the width. All right, so I have to find this background image. I see background header. So I'm going to look for background header. See where it says width 1200 pixels? Let's change this to 100%. The idea here is that it's going to be as big as that div is going to let it. So I'm going to do 100, and I need to delete the px, and I'll put percentage. And we'll hit enter. and let's go test it. I'm going to save this. I'm going to save the CSS because I made changes to the CSS. I need to save it. Well, Command S, File, Real-Time Preview, Firefox. All right, so here we go. Here's the page. Now, hopefully, we will see this kind of collapse. Okay, notice how it's just going to the width of it. Now, eventually, it's going to disappear. But this is exactly what I was hoping for. In this situation, it's 100%, and it starts, because we told it to center, the center is always going to be visible, but this is exactly what I wanted. So those two problems were fixed. Very simple. I had to go into the CSS and just make those small changes. Now, another thing that I want to do is I'm going to try to round this image. I don't think it's going to work, but let's round right along here on the background image. I want to try it on this right here. I don't think it's going to work, but let's see. All right, let me close this out. I'm going to come in here, and this is, when I look at this right here, it's graphic under header. So let's see, graphic under header. I'm going to go and look for, remember we did this before with the rounding the border. Now I'm going to look. Honestly, I'm not sure that this is going to work, so I don't know. But what I'm going to do is I am going to click down here and put this at, say, 25. 25, see what it happens. Oh, it did work. Okay, so if you notice, see how it rounded it right here? So I'm going to do this to the other side as well. Let's kind of hide this for a second, and you can see that we've kind of ended this header all as one unit. File save, and we'll go back and file preview in Firefox. And now we have a rounded shadow right here, and I think that looks a little bit better. Let's give a little bit more space. Now, in class I've talked about negative space, and negative space is important. The couple things that I haven't really gotten into, I talked about it in class, is hierarchy and negative space and a lot of other things, but negative space is free. We can have something as wide as we want, as long as we want, and it doesn't cost ink. You don't have to buy ink or anything like that. So let's kind of play around with this a little bit. What I want to do is I'm going to increase this. We did this H2, so I'm going to change this to H1 first of all, and then I think I'm going to increase the margin between this and this. Let's get some space so it looks a little bit more open. Right now it feels, I don't know, a little bit tight. I'm also going to increase the line space of the body text. So let me close this out. I'll close this. We're going to come in here and we're going to go to the body tag first. And this we can increase the line height of the text. So let me find the body tag. We'll go to text and we'll look for line height. And we will do at 0%, you can see kind of what happened. Let's do 120, just so you know, we're talking about baseline. The baseline in an average typeface is 120%. So if I were to put 120%, this would look normal. Okay. Now I can see right here, if I look up here, I'm going to have a problem because I'm going to change all the body text to be that way. And this text in the welcome message is part of the body text. So when I make this change in line height, I'm going to have to go back and change this line height to make it more. But 120% is the base. So let's change it to 130. 130. I didn't see a lot of difference. Let's try 140. Okay, that feels a little bit better to me. Let's go 145. 145. Now, the reason why I changed it to 145 was because this could use a little bit a lighter feel to it, and the 145 made this look normal. Okay, so instead of having to go up and change this again, I decided that I would just increase this. This feels okay, and it makes this look okay as well. Okay, so now let's increase the margin on above, or no, let's change this right here to H1, and we'll see what happens. I'm not sure, to be honest, if it's going to be too much. Div class, welcome message, no. Okay, see, it says right here when I'm looking, it says H2. Let's change that to H1. Remember, you have to do the opening tags and the closing tags. I think this looks a little bit better. It's a little bit, well, let's actually, because I know some people, there's at least one person in class that likes a larger typeface. We're going to play around a little bit. I'm going to remove this text to give me more space. So I'm going to remove this word, and I'm going to create a new style. This new selector or style is going to be, let's do a new one. All right, and we're going to call this H1. Now remember, this is a body tag. This is a tag that we do not put the period in front of. Because it's a tag that's built into the HTML, we just type in that tag. So I'll hit enter. And what I want to do is I'm just going to increase the text size. So I'm going to go up into type or text, and I'm going to do the changeover font size. I'm going to do percentage. You see how it shrunk right there? Let's do 200%. Now 200%, the default typeface, if we were to put in a body tag that the font size is 12, then what we're telling this to be is, if we put it at 200%, we would say that the font size is going to be 24. But it just depends on whatever the body tag is originally. The font size is in the body tag originally. So I'm going to do 120. See, it's not that strong. Let's put 200. Okay, we're getting better. Let's put 300 and see what happens with 300. Okay, 300 actually looks pretty good. We have a problem with the line height. So let's go in with the line height right here. I'm going to change this, and I changed it to percentages. Now you could do actual pixels if that's what you wanted, but let's put 200%. Again, I'm kind of playing around. I'm not really sure what the right measurement is going to be. I'm just testing the waters in a way. Let me try 100%. 100 actually looks pretty good. In fact, I think that's what I'd leave it at. I think for aesthetics, and because we're using lorem ipsum, I think we can remove this word right here, and so we get one line of text. I think that would be more interesting. We don't get that luxury in a lot of times. Okay, now then, one of the things that I wanted to do that I was talking about earlier is I want to increase the gap here. Let me kind of clear this. Let's go into this div right here. we see image, I'm going to come to the source code. What I'm interested in is this div right here. I think that's the one that I want. I'm not positive when I look at it right now. Yeah, actually I think that is it. So there's two things I can do here. One, I want more of a space between this right here and this right here. Now, what I can do is increase the space in a new div, a new style or selector to push this away from this, or I can go to this right here and push this down. Since I already have a style, which is, what's it called? It is called, it's like background, graphic under header. And see, we have margin right here. Let me kind of move this out of the way. And I'm going to increase the margin. Let me kind of move this up so hopefully you can see it. It's not going to let me do too much there. And when I look at the margin, I'm going to increase the top margin by, say, let's do 50 pixels. I hit tab. Okay, well, I chose the wrong one. I mean, this is a common mistake. This is the kind of little mistakes that we make. So I'm going to do undo. And because I was working with this right here, I want to do the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to come to the bottom margin and change this to 50. And that bumps it down a little bit. I think, if we were to kind of play around with it a little bit, I think 50 is okay. Now, again, it's up to you. I'm just kind of playing around. I'm more interested in showing how you would make adjustments. One of the things I don't really like is I don't like the gap between a horizontal rule and the H1 here. Now I have two things that I can do. One is I can make an individual selector or style that will decrease this margin, and that would probably be the best way, but since I'm not really going to be using H1 too often, I think in this situation I'm going to go in and modify the H1 tag style that we created earlier. So let me find it here. Let's go into H1. Let me find it. Here's H1, and if we look, there's this huge gap between the bottom of H1 and this horizontal rule. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do minus. I'm going to say minus 20. You see how it popped up? I didn't notice I did it so fast. But if I were to, I hit enter. See the space? Now I'll come in, I'm going to put minus 20. And I think that actually looks pretty good. You might want to go more, or, oh wait, minus 20 is too much. Let me change this to minus 10. Actually, that's not bad. I like it that the text is kind of sitting on it. Okay, actually I think I'll just change it to 0. I think this is more a standardized look. If we see this is more normal, but I kind of liked the way it looked before. So let's preview this. I'm going to save everything. I'm going to save this, file save. I'll go into the base CSS, I'll save that. And then I will go into file, real-time preview, Firefox, and let's see how it looks. Again, it's not perfect, but you're starting to see that we're customizing it in such a way. Now let's shrink this up. That the image in the header is kind of shrinking. Now there's only so much that it can do. The problem that we would run into is if it got smaller and smaller, this would have to come up for it to remain in the correct aspect ratio. So at some point, the browser is just going to make it smaller. But I think that this looks actually pretty good. Okay, let's see. I think we're at a point where I'm going to stop. Now, like I said, this is going to be a short video. Actually, let's increase the right margin of this image. I don't think it feels a little bit tight right here. So I'm going to close this out and I'm going to go into source code and I'm going to look for this image, and it is called homepage image. I'll go in and increase the margin on the right hand side. I'm going to double it. That to me feels much better. It gives it enough space. I'm also going to increase, I'm going to type a title here, or an uppercase. And I will do, I don't know, it just seems right that since it's kind of a title, that we work towards it. Okay. I think, yeah, right at this stage, considering what we're trying to do, I think we're pretty good. Okay, I have to save this. Doesn't this gap feel better? To me it does. We could actually increase the gap here, but for now I think that this is good enough. Before I end this video, there's something else I kind of wanted to show you. Now, we talked about it before, and this is the way that I create the multiple pages. If I go to index.html, I'm going to save this, so wherever I am, it's going to be saved. Now I'm going to save, we have 4 pages here. We have contact, about, and privacy. So I'm going to save this as file, save as, contact.html, because that's the link that we gave it, right? I'm going to save as file, save as about.html. Okay, so now we have another page here. And then the last one we need to save as privacy. File, save as privacy. Privacy. Now remember, if you did uppercase or lowercase, it needs to be exact. Otherwise the links will not be able to find it. Uppercase and lowercase matter when it comes to the web. So if I was to preview this, I'm in privacy right now. I'm going to change this to privacy. I'm going to go into, I'll save it. I'll go into about. And call this about. Uh-oh. Is it crashing? No, it's not. Go ABOUT. And this is just to test to make sure that we're on the right page. One of the things that has happened to me before when I do this, before I get to that point, I'll get confused. I think I'm on contact and I'm actually on about. So this one is contact. And I'm going to save it. Now let's just test this. File, preview, Firefox. Now if I were to click here, I went to privacy. went to About, went to Contact, and I went back to Home. Now, for the most part, what you want to do is there's much more that you can do, but this is the basic way that you create your template. So now that I have my 4 pages, I can go in and make my changes specifically. I would go in where I see the contact. If I were to select this right here, remember how we put the beginning content area? Now I kind of put it in a weird area. Now I kind of put it in the wrong div there, but we would come down like this and delete it. But then we would come back into this div that we created before, and we could do lorem 400, and then when we come over here, we already have the div created, and we can just kind of work from that point. Okay, now I hope that made sense. We're actually going to go in and work with the pages a little bit more, but I just kind of wanted to get you started so that this is the way that you would go forward. Okay, well that's it for now. It's going, like I said, it's a short video. Thank you guys.